What if I told you the biggest story around LeBron James right now is not a trade, not a contract number, not even a team, but silence? Because that is what has everybody losing their minds. So is LeBron James really about to leave the Lakers? Is this the beginning of the end in Los Angeles? Could he actually land with the Heat, the Cavaliers, or even the Warriors? And maybe the biggest question of all, why does it feel like the Lakers are acting weirdly cold toward the most important player in their franchise right now? Let's slow this down, peel this thing apart layer by layer, and really look at what is going on here. Because once you get past the drama, the rumors, and the emotional reactions, this story gets a whole lot more interesting, according to Shams Charania. After the finals ended, the Lakers did have a communication call with LeBron James' camp. But after that, there really was not much follow-up. That part matters a lot. Because Shams was not out there screaming that LeBron was packing his bags. He was describing a situation, and the situation is this. Communication has basically gone cold. At the same time, Shams also said the Lakers have been working on several things at once. This offseason, step one is getting Austin Reeves extended. After that comes the LeBron James situation, and then Rui Hachimura. On top of that, the Lakers have also been exploring trades where they can absorb salary. And with close to $50 million in room to work with, whoever they can trade for is going to directly affect what kind of offer they can eventually put in front of LeBron. Now, that is the solid part, but outside of that. Oh, the rumor machine has been working overtime. One report says the Lakers are open to swapping LeBron for Jared Allen from Cleveland. Another outlet put LeBron's chances of joining the Cavaliers at a little over 30%. Jake Fisher said some people around the league believe LeBron is now more likely to leave the Lakers than stay. A Heat beat reporter said, Miami is interested in a reunion. Brett Siegel said the Warriors, armed with the full mid-level exception, believe they are leading the race for LeBron. And Kevin O'Connor threw even more gasoline on the fire by saying Golden State could trade for Anthony Davis from Washington and then sign LeBron as a free agent. So yes, over the last few days, the LeBron leaving LA story has been absolutely everywhere. And you know what? A lot of LeBron fans are furious. From their point of view, it looks like the Lakers front office, especially Rob Pelinka, is treating LeBron like just another guy on the roster. No urgency, no warmth, no visible respect. And that does not sit right with people, especially when we were talking about a guy who brought this franchise a championship and just last season basically carried them deep into the playoffs again. So now the mood around this story has split into two big questions. First, are these reports about LeBron leaving actually real? Like, really real? Could he genuinely end up with the Heat, the Cavaliers, or the Warriors second? Why are the Lakers handling this so coldly? Are they just being strategic, or are they actually pushing LeBron toward the door? Let's start with the first part. If we are talking about credibility, Shams is the name that really matters here. His reporting on LeBron has not actually said LeBron is leaving. He never used language like that. What he reported sounds more like a freeze than a breakup. So if you want to be precise, the most trustworthy information right now is not LeBron is gone. It is the Lakers have put his extension on ice for the moment. Everybody else, that gets a lot murkier. A lot of these reporters and team insiders have floated dramatic possibilities, but their track record on these kinds of exploding offseason stories is not exactly spotless. So before people start photoshopping LeBron into 3 different jerseys by lunchtime, let's walk through the actual logic of each destination. Let's start with Miami. On paper, the reunion sounds juicy. LeBron back in South Beach, Pat Riley in the shadows, Giannis Antetokounmpo Popo in the picture. That sounds like a documentary trailer. But once you get into the money and the roster mechanics, it gets messy fast. After trading for Giannis, the Heat triggered the first hard cap. That means their payroll for next season has to stay under the first apron, which sits a little above $209 million. Their roster is not even full yet. Powell still has not been re-signed. They still have a long to-do list, and it is not a small one. They may need Powell to take less money. They may need Andrew Wiggins to opt out and re-sign for less. They may have to move Bobby Portis or Nikola Jovi, just to lower salary. Then they still need veterans on minimum deals to fill out the rest of the roster. That is not a smooth runway. That is airport traffic in a thunderstorm. And according to the cap rules, the biggest contract Miami could realistically offer LeBron would be the full mid-level exception. After that, you are looking at the biannual exception or a veteran minimum. In plain English, that means the best Miami can do is around $15 million for 1 year. Now, let's be honest here. If LeBron James were willing to take $15 million for 1 season, this whole thing with the Lakers probably would have been settled already. LA could offer that and more. And beyond the money, you have to ask a bigger question. Why would LeBron do that? Why would he leave Bronny in Los Angeles? Leave his family life in L. And take a pay cut, take a hit to his status, and go play next to Giannis on a team that still does not clearly look like a no-doubt championship favorite. If that team struggles, who gets blamed? You already know the answer. And people also forget something important. When LeBron left Miami back in 2014 and went back to Cleveland, that decision created a real fracture between him and Pat Riley. So now we are supposed to believe he is going to circle back years later, take less money, lower his own value, and walk back into that environment. Could it happen? Sure, in theory. But from LeBron's point of view, it just does not feel like the most natural move. Now, let's talk about Golden State, because this one is the most fascinating kind of chaos. Could the Warriors have interest in pairing LeBron James with Anthony Davis, Stephen Curry, and Draymond Green? Absolutely. There is at least some logic there. Golden State is not in a patient stage anymore. Stephen Curry is older, Stephen Curry is older. Draymond is older. The young guys have not fully taken over. If the Warriors do not produce, then what exactly are they building toward? The idea being floated is that Jimmy Butler plus future assets could potentially be turned into Anthony Davis. The thinking is that Butler's value is in the same range, especially if he is on an expiring contract. And if Golden State sweetens the offer with future picks, there may be a path. There is also a belief that Washington did not exactly pay a king's ransom to get Davis in the first place, and that Anthony Davis' age, contract, and injury history have cooled his trade market. So yes, from a pure team building standpoint, you can at least see the outline of the idea, but there are still a ton of red flags. Anthony Davis's contract runs through 2028, while Stephen Curry and Draymond Green are on deals that end in 2027. So if Golden State makes that move, an extension question is waiting right around the corner. Then there is the obvious issue hill. Davis is still an incredible player, but injury risk is part of the conversation, whether people like it or not. Is he worth a future first rounder? Maybe, maybe not. And then there is Washington's side. The Wizards are not necessarily in a place where they have to make a move like that, just for the sake of it. If Jimmy Butler does not really help where they are trying to go, and the Warriors do not offer something irresistible, why rush into it? Then comes the biggest problem of all, timing. Let's say Golden State makes the Anthony Davis trade first. Can they guarantee LeBron will follow? Remember, that is where things get dangerous. There is a gap between trading for Davis and signing LeBron in free agency, and whenever there is a gap, there is risk. A lot of it. Even if you assume the Warriors pull it off, and even if you assume Draymond takes less money on a new deal, the biggest contract Golden State could still offer LeBron would likely be that same full mid-level exception. Again, around $15 million. So once again, LeBron would be taking a pay cut, joining a rival, stepping into Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry's world, and inviting a tidal wave of pressure if the fit is not perfect. That is a lot to ask from a player at this stage of his career, especially one who probably values stability and certainty more than chaos and headlines. So could LeBron join the Warriors if pressure deity? Yes, there is a real possibility, but would I put it above 50-50? Number not unless LeBron personally decides he really wants to do his old friends Anthony Davis and Draymond Green a favor and make the whole thing happen. Now what about Cleveland? If we are talking about LeBron simply signing there outright as a free agent, that seems very unlikely. The Cavaliers are limited by the cap, and they may not even be in a position to offer the full mid-level exception. The more realistic path would be a sign and trade, with Jared Allen as the centerpiece going the other way. That idea is not dead on arrival. There is at least some path there, but again, the cap complications pile up quickly. If Cleveland receives LeBron in a sign and trade, the Cavs would trigger a hard cap at the first apron. That means for the entire next season, they cannot go over that line, which again is a little above $209 million. Under that kind of pressure, if James Harden still needs a new contract, he may have to re-sign for less, maybe somewhere in the low 20s. As a starting salary, Cleveland might also need to move Dennis Schroeder and bring back a smaller contract just to keep the math from exploding. So the Cavaliers' idea is not impossible, but easy. Not even close. That brings us to the second half of the story, and honestly, this might be the more important half. Why are the Lakers acting like this? Why would they go almost completely quiet on LeBron James after everything he has done for them? Because the more you look at it, the more it feels like the Lakers are trying to maximize cap space before they do anything else. Their entire summer strategy seems built around flexibility. The first priority is Austin Reeves. Now, some people are worried that if Reeves signs a huge 4-year deal worth around $185 million, the Lakers' cap sheet gets clogged up immediately. But here's the key. Before that deal is officially signed, Reeves only counts on the books at his bird rights cap hole, which is about $20.9 million. That means if the Lakers delay the formal signing and keep that lower placeholder number on the books, they can still use a ton of space first. Then once they have used up that room, they can go over the cap and re-sign Reeves using bird rights. That is an important detail because it tells you this front office is trying to squeeze every inch of flexibility out of the system. Now add in the other reported roster details. DeAndre Ayton is expected to pick up his player option for next season. Marcus Smart is not expected to stay on his current deal and may opt out. When you total up the 10 players already under contract, the Lakers are sitting around $111 million in salary, with the projected salary cap around $165 million. That gives them roughly $54 million in room. If they get even more aggressive and decline Nick Smith's team option, that could push the number closer to $56 million. But because the team would then be below the required number of roster spots, you also have to count the incomplete roster charges, which are basically placeholder salaries for the missing player. Once you subtract those, the Lakers' true usable room is more like $51 million. Sounds like a lot, right? Well, not when you look at the shopping list. They want to upgrade at center, ideally with Walker Kessler. They want help on the wing, maybe Peyton Watson or Terry Eason. They still need to work out LeBron James. They still need Rui Hachimura. They want to keep Marcus Smart, and they still have to fill out the rest of the roster. Now the problem gets nasty. Most of the Lakers' targets are restricted. Free agents. Walker Kessler is, Jalen Duren is, Peyton Watson is, Tari Eason is. And whenever you throw an offer sheet at a restricted free agent, the original team gets 48 hours to decide whether to match. During that time, your cap room gets locked up. You are frozen in the opening rush of free agency. That is brutal. You can miss other targets while just sitting there waiting for somebody else to decide your fate. And Kessler specifically is not going to be cheap. He reportedly already turned down a 5-year offer from Utah worth about $140 million. That is an average salary in the high 20s. If the Lakers really want to pry him away, they might have to go up to something like the mid-30s per year. And once you start talking about that kind of number, suddenly that $51 million in real space does not feel so massive anymore. The Lakers could go even further and dump more contracts. They could move Jared Vanderbilt, they could move Jake LaRavia, they could move Dalton next. If they really strip things down, they might be able to create close to $68 million in room. But then look at the other side of the equation. Your roster is almost empty. If the Lakers go that far, they might only have around 6 players under contract, and league rules still require them to get up to a full working roster. So even if the cap room gets bigger, the problem does not magically disappear. It just changes shape, and that is the real trap here. No matter how much space the Lakers create, they still have to solve all of these things at the same time. Sign a legitimate center, keep LeBron James, keep Rui Hachimura, keep Marcus Smart, and fill out the roster with enough real players to function. That is why this is not just about money. It is about timing, leverage, and pressure. The Lakers' best case move may not be signing these restricted free agents outright. Their best move may actually be forcing other teams into sign and trade conversation. In other words, by refusing to re-sign anybody right now and by keeping maximum cap flexibility, the Lakers are sending a message to the Jazz, the Rockets, the Nuggets, and everybody else. They are basically saying, we really do have the room. We really can make a serious offer to Kessler. We really can go after Watson. We really can go after Eason. Can you afford to match? Can you handle that pressure, especially with second apron concerns hovering over the league? And if those teams get nervous, the Lakers could say, fine, let's make a sign and trade. You get something back now instead of losing control later. That is where the Lakers' future first-round pick in 2031 becomes important. That pick can be used as a sweetener. So from a strategy perspective, you can absolutely see what Rob Pelinka and the front office might be trying to do. If they can win that leverage battle, get a sign and trade done for someone like Kessler or Watson, and then circle back to LeBron afterward, they may feel like they are playing this perfectly. Even if they fail to get Kessler through a sign and trade, and even if using cap space does not work, they can still pivot and keep LeBron, Rui, and Smart later through different cap mechanisms. So no, I do not think the Lakers truly want to lose LeBron James for nothing. I do not buy that. Whatever doubts people may have about Pelinka, the Lakers front office is not blind. They know LeBron is still the best player left on the market. They know they cannot just toss that away for free. But here's where the Lakers may have badly miscalculated. Strategy and communication are not the same thing. Because while the Lakers may be thinking, let's stay patient, preserve flexibility, and deal with LeBron later, LeBron's camp may be looking at this and thinking, you are trying to use our silence against us. And that is why this is blowing up. LeBron and his team are smart. They can see the setup. They can see the possibility that the Lakers want to chase Kessler first, then come back later and pressure LeBron into taking less money, and their reaction seems pretty clear. Fine, do your cap gymnastics if you want, but at least show us respect. That is really the heart of this whole situation. This may not be only about dollars. It may be about dignity. LeBron never said he absolutely would not take less. But if you are the Lakers and you have this grand cap space master plan, you still have to pick up the phone. You still have to explain it. You still have to treat him like he is part of the inner circle, not like some random expiring asset you will deal with after lunch. That is the part LeBron's side may find impossible to accept, because from their point of view, this is the best player still available. A guy who just helped carry you through the playoffs, and you are handling him like he is background noise. If you were LeBron, you would be mad too. So here's where I land on all of this. I understand what the Lakers are trying to do. I really do. There is logic behind it, there is strategy behind it, there is even some upside if it works, but the way they are handling LeBron James specifically, that part is wrong. If this were the LeBron of 5 years ago, do we really think the Lakers would be this casual? No chance. LeBron is still likely to prioritize the Lakers because of family, business, lifestyle, and overall value. Los Angeles still makes the most sense on a lot of levels, but if the Lakers push this too far, if they keep treating him like an afterthought, then yes, he absolutely still has options. Miami is an option. Cleveland is an option. Golden State is an option. Complicated options. Yes, difficult options. Yes, but options. And that is why this story is not over. Not even close. My read is that the Lakers, including Pelinka, will eventually have to calm this whole thing down. They will have to repair the relationship. They will have to re-engage with LeBron and his camp in a real way. Because at the end of the day, they simply cannot afford to lose LeBron James for nothing. So no, I do not think this silence means LeBron is definitely gone. But I do think the silence has already said way more than the Lakers intended. And sometimes in the NBA, that is when the real drama starts.